And this is Mark chapter 10 and verse 35 through to 40. Remember, Jesus has just told his disciples, we're going up to Jerusalem. I'm going to get killed and I'm going to be mocked and spat on. And after I've been killed, after 3 days, I'm going to rise again from the dead. And they're walking up to Jerusalem, and his disciples are dumbfounded that Jesus would want to go up to Jerusalem. And the others who are following are fearful. And it says in verse 35 through to 40, it says, James and John, the two sons of Zebedee, who Jesus had nicknamed Boanerges, the sons of thunder, come up to Jesus saying, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. And he said to them, what do you want me to do for you? Interesting that so often in the scriptures, Jesus would say to people, what do you want me to do for you? And they would say, oh, I want to be able to see, or I want to be able to walk. And Jesus would always, when they came with these kind of needs, he would always fulfill their desire. So Jesus says to them, what do you want me to do for you? And you can imagine their hearts lifting, thinking, well, whenever Jesus says that to them, he almost always does what people ask. And they said to him, grant that we may sit one on your right and one on your left in your glory. But Jesus said to them, you do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism which I am baptized? They said to him, we're able. And Jesus said to them, the cup that I drink you shall drink, and you shall be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized. But to sit on my right hand or on my left, that is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared. So, and later on we read how the other disciples are a bit miffed that they should kind of almost get their foot in the door first to sit on Jesus' right hand and left hand. And Jesus says, well, that's when it speaks of Jesus coming in glory in John, it speaks about the glory being, he shows his glory fully on the cross. He shows how much he loves us, how much he cares, how much his goodness is displayed openly before all. He comes in his glory on the cross. And we read later there were two criminals, and it was them that would be on one side and one on the other. And they mock Jesus. They are on the two sides of Jesus when he is in his glory. And Jesus says, you don't know what you're asking for. They probably thought when he's ruling from Jerusalem, and he's kicked out the Romans, and he's ruling the whole earth from Jerusalem, we want to be one on your left and one on your right. Well, who wouldn't be? But Jesus says, are you able to take the cup that I drink? And I don't think they realized, even though Jesus just said, I'm going to the cross. They said, yeah, of course. No problem. And Jesus says to them, this is to James and to John, you will drink the cup that I drink, but to sit at my right hand and left hand is not for me to give. Now, it's interesting that Jesus says this to James and to John. And if you read in Acts, you find that James is the first of the apostles to be martyred. He is beheaded by Herod, and he's right early on. He's martyred. He drinks the same cup as Jesus drinks, not to the extent of going the humiliation and pain of the cross, but nonetheless he becomes a martyr for Jesus' sake. And John, there's no record in the scriptures of the death of John, but tradition has it that he is the only one of the 12 who dies a natural death in old age. But Jesus, nonetheless, he says to both of them, you too will drink the cup that I drink. You will either be a sacrifice, a martyr for my sake, and you will lose your life for the sake of the gospel. But in John's case, Jesus says, you'll drink the cup that I drink, because you will be a living sacrifice, right to the point of your death in old age. And I find this encouraging for me, in that the cup that we drink from the Lord Jesus, whether we die as a martyr through the persecution of unbelievers, or whether we die as old age, God calls us to drink the cup that Jesus drank, in that he gave up his life. And God calls us to, just like the young ruler, to give up all to follow Jesus, to give up all to follow him. As it says here earlier on, it says, leaving houses or brothers or sisters or mother or father or children or farms, to give up all to follow Jesus. This is what God calls each one of us to do.